Bam, we're live. Let's start sharing the screen. We're live here. All right, let's get you guys set up. Welcome. We're just getting started. Hey, C. Knowles, good to have you back. We're just getting warmed up here. All right. Looks like everything's working. Got the YouTube going. Good to have you guys here. My man, Florida. What part of Florida are you in? The stores. As in, you doing some shopping? Ah, Boca Raton. Nice. See, look at all that money you make it. There's so much money in remodeling. Look at you living large. That's awesome. Got some. I've got family down in like Fort Myers. Where else? Sarasota, Tampa. So Florida's a beautiful place. I like Florida a lot. Some people think it's too hot, but I definitely I like it myself. How long you the accounts? All right. How long are you going to be in Florida for? Oh, good for you. Yeah, man. Get your account. Yes, perfect. Yeah, get your connections going. Yeah, make good relationships. You'd be surprised. Um, each connection you make, you never know where that's going to lead you. One more week. Awesome. Very cool. Oh, good. Look at you, brother, taking action every day. That's awesome. All right. All right, we're going to jump into this. It'll be about 12 minutes, give or take. And I'm going to talk about, this was a big lesson that I learned early on, is your current customers are some of your best sources for all your future customers. Everybody always talks about referrals, right? We're going to get more referrals. How we get referrals. I'm going to show you a way that we do it. It's a little more strategic. And there's a couple things that we do that are unique in that industry, and they work well for us. I can't say they're going to work for you, but what I can say is if you have a good person on your team who's into hospitality, you could do even better than we do, because that's not our specialty, but you'll see what I'm talking about in a few minutes. So I welcome you guys. Let's get into it. So what we're talking about is this. You're doing a job. Most guys, because they mess up that emotional roller coaster, they just want to get out, and them and the homeowner never want to talk again. Well, believe it or not, even the jobs that go south, you should still follow up with those homeowners down the road. You should still send letters, newsletters, because people do forget things. And it's not always as bad as sometimes that it seems. And I've always been shocked. We do a monthly newsletter, and you'd be really surprised, like a year down the road, you'll have a client that you thought the job went horrible and they hate your guts. They're going to be calling you back if you stay in touch with them. So that's one way to help get good referrals, is something as simple as just a monthly newsletter. And you just send it to everyone. I recommend doing two ways. You should just mail them out. It's basically one piece of paper. You just fold it up and stick the homeowner's address and name on there, and just put a regular stamp and send it. And then the other way is you email it. And if you're mailing it, you want to put something in there that's helpful for the homeowner about their house, like maybe a gardening tip in the season when they should be doing gardening, right? Maybe a tip on how to winterize a house, or a tip on what they should do, like when a filter schedule, we've sent people this little calendar, and it's a tear off. And then each year they can use it to tear off every 3 months. Basically, every 90 days, they should be changing their filters. Whatever. You can do some different things like that, and you'll be surprised that when you offer the homeowner something of value that helps them maintain their home that they do on their own, but you're the conduit, you just provide the framework, they'll hold on to it and has your name, your company logo. But and you'll be shocked how many times you go into a homeowner's house that you're doing repeat business for, and you'll see your newsletter is stuck up on the cork board. I mean, people still do these things, okay? Not everybody is 100% digital. Yes, emails are still important, but so is sending something in the mail. If you have a huge mailing list and sending a standard letter rate is going to get costly for you, you can talk to the post office to get about a bulk rate, or you can switch over and just send them a postcard every month. You could reformat your content and get it into postcard format. Postcards are cheaper, and then you can your newsletter comes in the form of a postcard. So these are some tricks that you can try. All right, but let's get into the main thing here. So literally think about this. You have to work really hard to get a client these days, for the most part. Most of us do. So once you get them, man, you want to make sure that one leads you to many others. And that's another way that you lower the cost to acquire a customer, because if every time you land a new client, that client can then help you land 3 to 4 more clients. You see what ends up happening? Your cost to acquire now gets divided, okay? So instead of costing you $100, if you get 3, it's now costing you $33, okay? This is a huge difference. And with a proper plan, this can be accommodated. So for instance, when you meet with the homeowner the first time, and you're just talking to them, you should share with them how you guys have an amazing referral program and all your customers love working with you because you do nice things for clients that refer you to other clients. You might have a good relationship with a local restaurant in town, and what you do is you give a gift certificate to the homeowner where they get a private dining booth, maybe somewhere special in the restaurant. And the owner of the restaurant comes over and smoozes with that couple for a minute, introduces themselves. Hey, I'm Joey. I own the restaurant. You're good friends with our friend, right? That's you. And here's your private dining experience for the night. It's going to be a nice romantic evening. Whatever style you want to go with. Like maybe if it's a nice Italian restaurant, it's a nice romantic evening. If you're in a party atmosphere, you set them up with something like that. What I'm saying is don't be limited by what I'm saying, but recognize the value in selecting something that you think would fit the client that you're working with really well. Homeowners, I find people in general don't really want money off or money for referrals. They want experiences. You want to provide them with something nice. Maybe you happen to have a friend or a connection at a tennis club, a country club, a golf place, I don't know, pickleball club, whatever it is. And maybe you provide a gift to certain homeowners where they can go have a day at the spa, a day at the club, right? And they get to experience this nice thing. And that's what you provide as your referral reward. Now, here's the beauty of this. You bring this up before you've even sold the job because nobody else is doing that. And follow me. The homeowner might be able to hire another guy cheaper than you for a couple $100, but they can't get the rewards that your company is going to give them in the future if they do the work through you. And they're already starting to think, well, if we hire Mike to do our kitchen, our neighbors want a bathroom, a basement. We'll refer them over to Mike. They'll do the work. Mike will give us the fine dining gift card or the gift card to the spa or whatever it is. Now you've created value. That's something that they can't get. You're making this connection to meet the business owner of a certain establishment, setting them up with this really nice gift basket. I don't know what you're going to do, but if you follow me on this, you'll see the real value in this. And here's what happens. People want things that they can't generally just go get, right? The average homeowner just can't walk into a restaurant and get the best seat at the house on like a Tuesday night and get to meet the owner, or maybe have the chef. Another way you could go is if you work with the business owner, you say, hey, would you guys prepare a special meal for the clients that we send over to you once a month, part of our referral program? Now, on the back end, you let the owner of the restaurant and the chef know it doesn't have to be anything like super extravagant, but it's something that's not on the menu. And you offer it as an exclusive to your client for being an awesome customer who refers you a lot of other work. So now they get this special exclusive experience that they otherwise cannot get. People love those experiences. Anyway, something to keep in mind. I'm going to shut up about that, but I think you get the point. And if you follow and you track with it, your referrals are going to start going through the roof. So let's go through this a little bit more. Again, most remodelers, they just ghost after the job. They're frustrated with the homeowner. They stop staying in touch with them, right? They leave. They don't even ask for referrals. And at the end is the wrong time to do it. As we've just talked about, you asked for them in the beginning. So they deliver them possibly at the end, but you're already asking for them in the beginning. Most guys aren't doing that. Again, you worked hard to get this initial client, so you want to maximize every dollar out of that, and one client should always lead to at least 3 more, okay? That's the bare minimum. That's your goal from here on out. Every time you land a customer, the minimum, you will get 3 jobs out of that, so at least 2 more, okay? Every client should be good for another customer or 2, or their neighborhood should be good for another job or 2. So also, homeowners need a really good reason or story to share as to why they're referring you and why your company's so amazing. And that's where you start sharing how you have a referral exclusive club of these referral members, right? It's this whole little thing that you do that's different. Nobody else is doing this. So understand this. Your next 3 clients could literally be sharing the driveway or across the street, or the cousin of the homeowner you're about to work for. You just never know. And what I can say is this. I got in with one family really good. And it's kind of like he was the patriarch, him and his wife, of the family. And they literally, he would go with me to meet the other homeowners, his relatives, neighbors. This one guy must have given me 30 projects. So I want you to think about that for a moment, how powerful that can be. These people are out there, and there's certain people in the world, I call them connectors. They love having a lot of friends, and they love having influence, and they're kind of the leader of their pack. If they just remodeled their kitchen and they give you the approval, everybody that they know who wants a kitchen that looks up to them will hire you as well. All right, just like that. These people exist, and that's what you're looking for all the time. Now, I've only had a handful of people like that over my career, but they exist. Okay, so remember, a remodel isn't just a project; it's a public performance. And follow me on this one. You should look at certain homeowners and understand, how can we throw a neighborhood party when this remodel is over, where we do a reveal, just like they do on TV, except you're doing it for your homeowner. You're sponsoring the party. You're supplying the sodas, the juice, the hamburgers, the hot dogs. And if you have the right team and crew members, you're probably standing there manning the grill and handing out the beverages on a Saturday afternoon. You might do this let's say you're working for a family and their kids play youth sports and they're in like a soccer league. Well, all these teams have to have an end of the year party. What if you offered to sponsor that end of the year party? Maybe you throw $200 at it. You buy all the hamburgers, the hot dogs, the coleslaw, the potato chips, a bunch of sodas and juice, right? And then it's held at the homeowner's house where you just created this awesome project. And the homeowner gets to show it off. And the homeowner says, my remodeling company is so amazing. Not only did they do the kitchen, they've got guys here right now, and they're sponsoring this party for the entire team. Right then and there, you're going to get to meet with 30 other homeowners, typically, right? Think about this. Plus neighbors, friends, families, coworkers. Um, you have to look for certain clients that have that magnetic personality style and would love to have a party to show off their project. And you sponsor that party. All right. And you have a little flyer at the beverage table where you can hand it out, or a little business card. Tell you right now, you're missing a golden opportunity if you're not doing. Now, I get it. You might not have the personality to be manning the booth, right, or working the bar, but maybe you sponsor the event. You pay for all the food and beverages, and you ask the homeowner, hey, would you just hand out some flyers for our company to everyone that attends and say, this is who paid for this event for the team? Yeah, it could go a long way. So you're not selling at that point. You're creating what's called social proof, and you're doing it in real time. This is how other homeowners get to see the quality of your work. And you didn't beg for them to come. They just happen to have to come because it's some sort of a celebration party. If you happen to work in certain trendy neighborhoods, this can really blossom. You, like, let's say you're in the city and you just built a rooftop deck. You should be sponsoring that homeowner's rooftop deck celebration party. Okay. And when they invite like 15 of their neighbors over who don't have rooftop decks, you can see where this starts to go. All right. So you have to get a little creative here. You have to learn to use your personality style, and you have to start looking at your clients' personality styles. And you see for what strategic moves you can make and how you can best reward them for supplying you with more referrals. And it's not that you're asking for referrals. You're saying to them, do you know anyone else who's having a problem right now at their house? They have a kitchen that they can't stand. They have a bathroom that's become a nightmare. They have a roof that's leaking. They have a basement that they haven't been able to enjoy for 3 years. They need an addition, right? They're not able to sit outside and enjoy the beautiful sunsets like you folks because they don't have this deck and patio combination. You start saying, I could help out your friends that have problems with their house, right? You're shifting it a little bit from always just saying you have a referral. You're saying, which of your friends' problems can I help solve so that you look like the hero? All right. So that's a big one, is celebrating and doing parties. You can also do things for the homeowner. Here's another event. You're working for a family. Their daughter's getting ready to have their 16th birthday, and they're going to invite a bunch of friends over. You could sponsor that. It's probably not going to cost you more than like $100. You could buy the cake. You could buy all the chips, the sodas, the juice, pay for whatever, and pay for some balloons, and just let them know it's sponsored by your company. And the moms will share that with the other moms. They'll be like, it's amazing. My remodeling company is sponsoring my daughter's birthday party, and you guys all get to come. If you do something like that, I would strongly suggest you set up a relationship with a local bakery, somebody that has really nice, fancy things that people love. And again, you tell the homeowner, your daughter's cake. Well, I know Susie who owns that bakery. Yeah, that one, the one that's hot, everybody loves. Well, I'll get you a cake from there for your daughter, or specialty cupcakes, right? All of a sudden, you start providing an experience, something that's exclusive that they normally would never do. And at the end of the day, these things don't cost much money, and you only have to land like one job out of it. You're probably going to get more than one, especially if you have like 15 moms coming to a party, right? Most of them are going to be in a similar demographic. They're going to be at a similar stage in life. They probably live in a similar neighborhood or style of house. So if your homeowner just needed a new deck or kitchen, somebody else in that group does as well. And you only need to land like one or two jobs. So these things can really start to pay off. If you have somebody in your office, like an office admin female that's a really good connector, you could hand this whole referral reward program over to her and have her do all the coordinating, right? Most guys aren't going to be that great at it. You could hire somebody. If you know a party planner and they live in your neighborhood, or they're friends with a spouse or a girlfriend of yours, you could partner up with them and say, hey, I'd like you to help me put on parties for the clients whose projects we just finished. put a couple $1,000s into it one year and see how it goes, right? It's another way of doing marketing. So personally, I don't give cash back to customers for just finding me referrals, because I find that if they were motivated that way, they would become a salesperson and sell remodeling. But a lot of people say, hey, if you give me a referral, I'll give you like 50 bucks or I'll give you 7. Homeowners don't want money, in my experience. They want experiences. So I think when you find that shift, you'll find that that makes a big difference. So you can use AI. You can say, this is the town that I live in. What are some custom experiences that so let's say you live up near Hershey, PA. There's a thing called Hershey Park. You could give the family a special, set of coupons so that they can go to the park and have a fun day. I don't know, like you can get creative, but use the area that you live in and look for things that are around you that you could provide as a reward. The other thing is this: if you do enough of this business, whatever establishment that you're supplying, like for us, when we have a certain restaurant that we work with, we send so much business to that restaurant that we get a discount for sending the homeowner there in the first place. So where I'm going with this is it doesn't even cost us as much as the homeowner thinks it's costing, because we've been doing it for some time and we have a relationship with them, right? So they cut us a break because we're sending some of them to them once a month and once every 2 weeks, right? And we do it on a off night. These are like Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights. You talk with it depends on the restaurant that you're sending them to, but most restaurants are slow early in the week, but this is a special event and it's a reward for the homeowner. So they do that. You may offer to pay for the babysitting service that the homeowner is going to have to hire to watch their kids so that the husband and wife can go out on date night, or the spouses, however that works out. So what I'm saying is get creative with your referral program and you'd be shocked. So you can use AI to help generate this. You can type in, say, hey, I own this type of a business. I do plumbing, I do remodeling. I want to reward homeowners that, so if you do plumbing and you do bathrooms, a day spa package is probably going to be a really good idea, because they can utilize that day spa, right, as a way to relax and unwind and, all these things, because they're already getting a nice bathroom from you now. So there could be a theme that you already have going. And anyway, so that's what I have for you guys tonight. I believe that if you do something like this, you will increase your referrals drastically. And you set up what's called a VIP program, and you let the homeowners know that for every 5 referrals that they give you, they get another bonus. And that's where you start doing things like care packages, gift baskets, different times of the year. Realtors are really good at doing these things. All you have to do is watch what other realtors are doing. So for instance, at one point of the year, if you have somebody who gives you a lot of referrals, you might send them like a 2 pies for Thanksgiving so that they can take those pies to wherever they're going for their family party, right? You might send them a bunch of, a gift card to use at the local pumpkin place, pumpkin patch, whatever. You get creative, okay? Things like that. So anyway, what kind of questions do you guys have? I know not everybody's super excited about this topic, but it can really drastically change the amount of clients that you get. Did I lose you guys? Anybody still around? Thanks, Yeah, I mean, if you've got people coming to you're on a vacation, you have the island, right? You're on so if you could probably set something up with a resort. I don't know. Now, who are your clients? Do they people that own rental property, or there's the locals that own their own homes and you're working on them? I don't know. What would, maybe you'd have to figure out what would they love to have done for the day if they would refer you to like 3 other customers. And that's how you get the multiple rewards. You tie that exclusive dining experience right? That might cost your company like $100. They get that when they give you 3 referrals, 2 referrals, whatever it might be. Um, and that's how these programs start to pay for themselves. Or a day at the spa. Um, I don't know what other, like if you have go-kart tracks near you or like a shooting range, it just depends on what, every part of the country has something different. A fishing, set them up to how they can go fishing for the day. It just really depends on where you are in the country and what your clients like to do. We've got these trampoline parks around us that families love to take their kids to. Maybe you give them a gift card to the trampoline park and things like that. Locals mainly. Okay. Yeah. So maybe you work out something with if there's a nice bakery, a nice eatery, and it doesn't have to be dinner. It could be a nice brunch place. You could set up something special with the owner of the restaurant that serves brunch, where if you send your clients over, you pay for they get a full course brunch with mimosas, things like that, and it's all inclusive, it's all paid for. But at the end of the day, when you first meet with a homeowner and you're starting to talk about your project, the way you'll talk to them is, Mr. Miss Smith, what's great about working with us? Most likely, while our project time is going to be short, the long-term benefits are going to be long-lasting. And here's what I mean. You'll be able to refer clients to us for the rest of your life, and we'll be able to help you benefit from that. Anytime that you come across someone and you see that they have a problem at their house, you can just be an amazing resource by letting them know that you know an amazing contractor that can solve their problems. Exactly. Yeah, you can ask the businesses if they need. Exactly. You can do some work for them in exchange for them offering the discounts to some of your customers. Yep, 100%. So, but by you sharing with the homeowner that, hey, this is just what our people do, you know, you work with us, you're going to be so excited when the job's over. You can't wait to tell everyone that you know how good of a job. You're going to want to have this celebration party. We did quite a few of these reveal parties for clients, especially when you do bigger projects. I mean, I'm talking like a full scale kitchen remodel where they're moving walls, or if you're doing like a large deck patio or an addition, even like a full on basement. You throw a big party at the end, invite the neighborhood over, do it for their coworkers. Find out, let's say the person, their type of work, they need to throw a party at the end of the year or whatever. Their company throws quarterly parties. You could offer to sponsor that. At the end of the day, what you're trying to do is you just want to gain credibility and get your name out there with a bunch of other people that own homes. Because most likely, if they own a home, they're going to need what you provide at some point as well. So tell me, C. Knowles, are you making connections with any? I mean, are any of these companies like nationwide that you're dealing with, or how do you're just dealing with companies that will ship the product directly to you? I guess your business is interesting, right? Because you got to get your products all shipped over to you, I guess. So that's a little bit different. I feel like that's what it's like for people in Hawaii as well. I've been visited Hawaii a couple times, and the contractors there just complain. Home Depot, okay. Supply chain, Home Depot, the monster. Hmm. Yep. Hmm. Well, I don't. we're hitting we're about at a half hour. So this, if anybody has any specific questions, it doesn't have to be about what we talked about tonight, just be about remodeling in general. Any sales objections you're running into, any processes, procedures, trying to hire people, looking for new places now. Okay. Sounds like a pretty good referral program. Yeah, you'll be, yeah, Jayon. I mean, hey, welcome. Glad you're here. You know, we had a lady that worked in our office for a while who loved helping other people throw parties. And that's where a lot of this stuff blossomed from, right? Just thinking outside the box. And because at first I would just tell the homeowner, hey, I'll get you a $50 gift card, to Home Depot or whatever, to the golf store if you have any neighbors that want a project. And we would land a referral here and there, but it was nothing special. When we switched to start offering things like exclusive dining excursions, we called them, or date nights, or, you know, these special experiences, all of a sudden we started getting a lot of referrals. It was crazy. So it worked well for us. There you go. Yeah, man. Find that place that has the good brisket. 100%. I mean, totally. You're picking up. You just, you can pick the thing that works for you, that you love to do, and then just find your tribe, the people, the clients that love what you do. You tailor it towards the client themselves. If you know the client, like, you pick up on things when you're meeting with a homeowner and you're walking around their house with them. You start seeing like the things that they're into, what they like to do, where they like to eat, whatever, how they like to spend their free time, what they do outside of the house. And if you can tie your referral program into something that benefits them or is exciting to them, and again, generally it's not giving them money. If they were motivated by getting money, they would get a job selling remodeling services. And that's not, very few people really could care at all about getting money for a referral, in my opinion. Most of them will die to get that experience, though. I mean, we've even had homeowners get in our truck and say, drive me down the street right now. Let's go talk to Suzanne. Suzanne was just talking about wanting a kitchen. I want to make sure she gets you to do your kitchen, Mike. Does that make sense? Like, you'll get homeowners like that they'll just say, no, we're going down to meet with them right now. And they set it up for you because that's just their person. That's the homeowner's personality style. I call them connectors, like I said. So, and then just think, every homeowner should be leading you to the 2 more jobs. That's your goal. From here, for 6 months from now, you want to get yourself set up in a program where if you land 10 jobs through your standard advertising, marketing, however you do it, those 10 jobs should lead to 20 additional projects. So you should have a total now of 30 jobs that are all related. And if you look at it that way, the 10 leads to an additional 20. That additional 20, if every one of those leads to 2 more jobs, right? Now you're talking an additional 40 jobs, right? And if you can work on those 40 jobs to get you an additional 2 jobs, now you're talking 80 jobs. This is how, in remodeling, your business can explode pretty quickly from something like that. I mean, not every single person's going to do this, but you're going to have some that do it well, some that don't. Exactly, it multiplies. It just starts right before your eyes. And then this is how you get that steady flow of leads coming in. And this is how you book jobs throughout the year so that you don't have all these dips and valleys. You just have a nice steady flow. You slowly add on another crew or 2. And then you can have faith that you'll be able to provide them work because you understand how to work your customers to help keep the referrals coming. Yeah, you end up needing a couple more guys. subcontract or whatever, but or you just have to, you book things out longer. Everybody has different goals. I'm not here to say you have to do it this way, but you should work each client for another referral. Yeah, it will keep up for sure. This is Instagram, just the guy that is one of the big wigs at Instagram, he was just on live. Instagram just reached 3 billion users. All right, think about that for a minute. They have 3 billion people are using Instagram. So I don't care where you're located in the country, you can find enough people to keep your remodeling business busy if you just get yourself out there. There's so many people in the world today. We think we know everybody. You're like, nah, I know my neighborhoods, but you don't. You honestly don't know everybody. So there's just so much work out there. There's low-end work. There's high-end work. There's commercial work. There's residential work. It's insane when you start breaking it down. Most people don't even realize that in every big box store in my area, I can tell you that there's probably $1 million a year in just kitchens and baths being sold through their designers, right? I'm talking people that come in and sit with the person at the little table at the Home Depot to get a kitchen or a bath designed, and they want to work with Home Depot. And this is why they want to work with Home Depot. Home Depot lets them finance the deal. They can buy everything, I'm talking all the materials, through the Home Depot, right? And homeowners love doing this, and they trust Home Depot. And then, so what Home Depot does, if you get the contract, you're the preferred vendor. The next thing you know, you're doing $1 million a year in kitchens and baths because you've got the contract at a big box store. And like in my area, the one, I don't know how much I want to share. Like, we've signed contracts for 16 big box stores. And the next thing you know, we're doing all the kitchens and baths for multiple big box stores in our area. And so what I'm getting at is there is so much business out there wherever you are. If you're interested in finding it and getting it, yeah, it's astonishing because everyone's has to update something at some point. It just never fails. I think this is an interesting fact for some of you guys. I live in a major metropolitan area. And think about this for a minute. Where I am, Home Depot does over $65 million a year in building material sales. We have Home Depots by us that are so busy that they literally have to open what they call an offload store. They will put a second Home Depot less than about a mile or two away from the primary Home Depot so that the main Home Depot isn't so busy because it's taxing their resources. They can't keep up with the volume. And this has been going on for like 10 or 15 years. And it doesn't matter what the economy is doing, right? They're just that busy all the time. It's insanity. So I just don't think most people can can grasp or really even understand how much work is really happening out there at any one time. And that's why I say, like, there's more work than any one of us could ever get, but and don't be afraid of building a team. If you get a good system in place, you'll always have work. Okay, you just have to be creative on how you find it. Yeah, everybody needs somewhere to live. And you always have people moving, There's always somebody coming and going. And you can't think of your place in life for your customer. And here's what I mean. Like, so, as I'm getting older, I want less change sometimes, but I have rental property and I noticed that the young kids, they just, there's a whole new generation of young kids coming up all the time. and they have goals and aspirations, and they want all kinds of things, just like I did when I was in my 20s. So there's always the next generation that's right behind, coming up behind them, and they're ready to get a house, and they want to do this, and they want that done to it. It's always changing. And then, I'm at a point where, like, my parents, for instance, they're probably going to be getting rid of their house soon, and it's going to need some work to sell. So there's always somebody selling their house. There's always somebody buying a house. It's nonstop. So, all right, guys. Unless anybody else has any questions, anything you guys want me to share, talk about, you want to argue about something, whatever, it doesn't matter. That's all I have for you for tonight. It's good to see a couple of you guys in here. Jay Allen, thanks for commenting. C. Knowles, thank you for commenting as well. Hope you make all those connections that you need while you're and enjoy Boca Raton. Good time of year to come. No hurricanes that I'm aware of this week. So you would want to be set up with plumbing distributors, correct? Yeah, nationwide. So Ferguson, if it's plumbing stuff, you should look into Ferguson. If you want to do tile, nation. So when I look, C. Knowles, when I look up for plumbing, obviously there's Ferguson, there's the National Wholesale Supply Company, something called Plumbers Wholesale. I just know of Ferguson. Yeah. There's another company called Core in Maine, but they seem to really focus on commercial, so I don't think that's going to help you. There's a company in Fort Lauderdale called ITM Tile Importers. So they're a large importer and distributor of tile, and it looks like they would ship to you. There's another company called Tropical Tile and Marble in Miami. You may already know about these companies. Yeah, I think they ship. I think there's a potential for having them ship internationally. There's another company called Santa Rosa Marble. I can't tell if they would ship, okay, but they're a large player. The Chancellor Bunch, you say, I've sold for Lowe's exterior projects for years. Would independent guys want help selling bids? How do you mean? Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys, you would actually go out and do this. You'd be their salesperson. Is that the Chancellor? Is that what you're asking? I think some independent contractors would you have to work out some of the details with them, because I understand that this is just what I've experienced. if a business owner doesn't quite understand the benefit of having you come aboard, they could get frustrated if you sell a job, but you don't sell it the way that they would sell it. Yeah, so you're gonna have to find that one or two really good contractors that are open to that arrangement, that they'll work with you. The problem with some guys in the industry is they're just control freaks, right? And they have to do everything themselves and they're never gonna grow. They're just gonna always be frustrated. But if you can find someone who can recognize your unique skill set, which is in selling, and you can bring them the business, yeah. I know some contractors in my area, they don't sell any of their own jobs. They have a, like, in my area, you can get what's called a salesperson's license, and you can sell for more than one home improvement contractor. I think it's two now. But anyway, so you can go around and you can sell the service of the company for the company, and you're not a direct employee of the company. So depending on what part of the country you're in, yes, you could do this. You would want to just network. Yeah, have remote. Maybe I should just, if I if you're capable, I would start my own. You'll crush it, because sales is the sales is the part that most contractors suck at. I mean, seriously, like, if you can, if you have the remodeling skills, awesome, because now you understand the process of selling it and you know what's involved, so you know how to properly price it. And then why don't you just sub the work to these other contractors as opposed to selling it for them? Just find a bunch of really good subs and sell the jobs and be the manager, project manager. That's how I would consider. I think that would be your most lucrative way to go. So yeah, so what? How much? Yeah, so a good, in my experience, a good home improvement salesperson can sell $1 to $3 million a year, right? It gets challenging for the average salesperson to do more than 3 million. So if you stay with a niche, right? Like you mainly do, you said exterior projects. Yeah, so if you did siding, windows, doors, gutters, downspouts, and roofs, primarily stuck with that. And once you see yourself hitting like $3 million a year in exterior projects, you know you need another salesperson, right? Technically, you should be looking for them as you're growing, but that's going to be about your max. You're going to have in my opinion, you're going to have a hard time selling more than $3 million a year. And if you're trying to manage it, you won't be able to do both. But if you just focused on selling, so if you're good at the sales side, my recommendation to you is you find a person, you either hire a project manager, you find someone to, you hire them, they come onto your company, you pay them a salary and give them some sort of a percentage, a bonus for all the jobs that they bring in on budget, on time, with happy customers, stuff like that. Or you partner with somebody to be the project manager to grow, the production side of the business. And you guys could do it. You could basically be do a 2-person, maybe you'd probably be a 3-person company for a while. You should have an office person, you do the sales, you have somebody doing production management, and then you guys just sub it. You hire all subcontractors. Yeah, I mean, you could crush it. What part of the country are you in? Yeah. And see, Knowles, back to you. I would look up this company called, it's ITM Tile Importers of Fort Lauderdale. I mean, their website, I think, explicitly even says that they'll ship. So check them out. All right. When you say it's not a big population, what are we like? What are we talking? 500,000 people or less or more? Only 35,000. Yeah, that's a small market for sure. Yeah, so you're going to have to own the market. Yeah. Like you are the company that everybody goes to unless you can expand out to a slightly bigger population. If you could get yourself to around like a population of like half, 500,000, I mean, I don't know, you could grow up to like a 20-30 million dollar a year company. With a 35,000 population, you're going to be a little bit smaller, but you can still own the market. Yeah, I would be known. I would focus on windows, doors, roofing, siding, gutters, downspouts. And just own the exterior shell of the house. And those are super easy trades to sub out to. You'll make a ton on windows. You'll make good money on roofing, decent money on siding. Um, but yeah, you could crush it. And because it's all exterior work, the homeowner experience will be more pleasant as long as the guys, respect the neighborhood, respect the homeowner's property, and watch where they park, and clean up the yard every day, stuff like that. Well, yeah, good question. Real quick, Jeff, the way you protect yourself is you get better at hiring the right people. This will happen with experience. So look, you're going to mess up. Somebody you hire is going to mess things up, and that only happens to happen one time. So then you come in, you correct whatever mistakes they make, and you move on. And then that'll never happen again because you've learned your lesson, right? And everyone has to learn their lessons on their own. But what I can say is, give me a second. I'll grab something. So we do a lot with subcontractors, Chancellor Bunch. So I have a subcontractor success guide that you can get off of our website. And you can buy it, you don't have to. But basically what it has in it is you have a process that every sub that you work with has to go through. They have to fill out an application. Now, I can direct you. We have a website that you can use called Zapplicate, and you can put the application on there, and it's all digital. And what you're doing is this is how you're pre-screening your subs. If they can't fill out a standard application, you're not going to hire. But the ones that do, in this application, it's going to ask for a lot of things. They're going to be providing you with a copy of a driver's license, a copy of their insurance, all their license information. They're going to prove to you that they have workers' comp if that's required in your area, right? And when a business does all of that, now you know you're dealing with a legitimate sub who you're not going to have to worry about screwing you. If you just try to grab some local guy, and say, hey, you want to be my subcontractor? Yeah, you're probably going to have problems. But not if you find a professional subcontracting company. Now, in your area, here's what I find. In the rural areas, there's actually a lot of good subcontractors because a lot of them will live where it's more rural because it's cheaper, but they're driving sometimes an hour to 2 hours a day to go where the work is. So you should probably have some good siding and roofing subs in your area, especially if you're in more of a rural list. I mean, yeah, Craigslist can work. The other thing you do is you get out on the street, you drive around, and every time you see a white van, a white pickup truck, and like 3 or 4 guys doing work, you get out and you introduce yourself. Hey guys, how you doing? I'm the Chancellor Bunch. Who's in charge here? Hey, and you just introduce yourself to them. Yeah. So over the years, I'm always, no matter what, I could have 7 great siding contractors, and if I'm driving down the road and I see a crew doing siding and I don't know them, I stop, get out of the vehicle, go introduce myself, find out who they are, try to get a contact information, and then see if we can interest them in filling out an application because we might want to work with them. They might have some kind of a specialty or a niche. They might do something that, we need. The other thing you do, so you're going to set up what's called the daily subcontractor. These are checklists, and you do this for each project. So you're going to have one for whoever does your siding gets one of these checklists, whoever does your roofing, whoever does your windows and doors. Also, you use subcontractor agreements. Go to the remodelingacademy.com. Yeah, the remodelingacademy.com. Go to the store, and in the store, you'll see something like this, Subcontractor Success Guide. It's available in English and Spanish. I don't know what your market's like, but at a bare minimum, you should get the English package, and it's going to walk you through the whole process. But what you do is, see, you have your subcontractors do an agreement just like you're doing with the homeowner. Okay, and at first it seems like a lot, but you're setting up all the proper structure and ground rules. And when your subs notice that you're a professional and you're a man of your word and that you get jobs done quick and that you get paid and then you pay them quick, they want to work for guys like you, right? Because there's a lot of shitty contractors out there. The subs sometimes feel like they have to work for, but they don't want to work for them. They'd much rather deal with someone who's organized, someone who is professional and has things running smoothly. Everything's timely, right? So if you set up this proper foundation and structure, you guys will crush it. Hands down, crush it. So you figure, yeah, Chancellor, you have a good night as well. All right. But yeah, we worked with a company locally. They were doing like 5 million. The owner of the company was a pretty good salesman. He was doing like 3 million a year. He was burnt out and tired. We helped them get like 4 to 5 sales reps. Next thing you know, they're doing like 30 million. Now they do exterior and interior. So they do roofing, windows, siding, doors, and then they do kitchens, baths, basements, decks, patios, full service remodeling. But before you know it, it's going to take a couple years, but yeah, you could go to 5 million to 10 million to 15 to 20, and then, up to 30. You're going to have to get a warehouse at some point, because you got so many subs, you need to store where you stage all the materials. But it's pretty standard stuff around me. Now, where you are, it's going to be a little more challenging. If it's only 35,000, you might consider relocating. I don't know how far away the biggest city is closest to you. I don't know if that's a possibility or not. But if you want to stay where you are, you'll just want to own the market. Yeah, a lot of subs have to wait. See, look, think about it this way. A lot of contractors are really poor at managing the finances. And especially if, like, we recommend all guys go to like a 4-pay. You should have a minimum of 4 pays per project. So what I'm saying is, if you're only getting paid at 3 stages, deposit, midway, and endpoint, there's sometimes several weeks in between of you getting a check. And then if there's some sort of a delay or you don't close the job out properly, you might not be getting that last paycheck for a while. And then if that means you can't pay your sub right away. So yes, some subs are waiting 30, 60, 90 days to get paid. What we do that's a little bit different is we supply, you get paid every 2 weeks if you work with us. All you have to do is submit the invoice. So regardless of the project size that you're on, regardless of when we get paid, typically by the homeowner, for the most part, this is probably 90% the case. As long as you're providing that you've done the work, it's been verified by our project manager or the company, and you submit the invoice, the paperwork on time, on schedule, everybody's happy, then yeah, the turnaround time is every 2 weeks, you'll get paid as a sub. So, and with our subs, we usually break up their payments as well so that they're getting paid throughout the project. Some like to only get paid twice. It just depends on, some subs want to be paid as in like a 3 to 4 payments as well. So we'll break their payments up and pay them as they hit certain milestones within the job. It can get a little complicated, but if you have somebody who's doing your payroll and helping you out, you'll get through it. You can just do one pay. If a sub wants, again, there's variables. If you're supplying the materials for your subs, then the pay structure is going to look differently than if you're having them do it. And we've worked both ways. We have our subs do the material takeoffs all the time so that they're getting the exact materials that they want. I might think I know what they want, and I might buy, if it was up to me, I would buy this quantity and that quality and this and that, because that's how I do the job. But I let the subs do that part. You just make sure it's within reason of what you think it should cost. But so anyway, I recommend you have the subs do their own takeoffs. I help subcontractors set up charge accounts with vendors. That way they also get that 30-day grace period so that they don't have to pay their bill right away. So that helps. So there's little tricks that you can do to help these guys out. But otherwise, within a month, you should be, people should be getting paid. No one should be out that long. But the trick with subs is just having be very open and have everything in writing, just like you do with the homeowner. That way there's no confusion. And then you just both honor your word. You just follow through. You do what you said you'll do. They do what they said they'll do. Everything works. And I've had some tough situations. There's been times, like we've had issues with homeowners where they withhold payment because they're upset about something. I'll still pay the sub out of my own pocket because I let them know, like, hey, you did the work. You're going to get paid. We're going to get paid. I just have to work through this little issue that the homeowner's having. It's not often, but it happens. Homeowner gets pissed at something. You'll have homeowners get fired. You'll be doing their remodel, right? Everything's fine. You find out all of a sudden the husband just got fired from his job that he's had for 22 years, and now all of a sudden the homeowner's trying to see how they can get out of the contract, right? Stuff happens. Sometimes it's outside of your control. But for the most part, people always pay. They just, sometimes they need some encouragement. It doesn't happen that often. I think a lot of it also depends on the type of clientele that you deal with and you market to. Just seeing where contractors don't pay until they get paid. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the norm. I would tell you that just within every market, there's always that rare few that do things a little differently. And that's like for us, we found that because we paid our subs more frequently, they loved working for us and it made it very easy. So let me follow this up with something. Our subs didn't just work for us, they would work for other people. But I can tell you, like, if I would call them and say, hey, I have a project starting in 2 weeks, we would most definitely get priority. And they probably are pushing, even if they started somebody else's job, sometimes they'll come do ours for a week, and I don't know what excuse they're giving the other person. And I'm not worried about that. But I know that we take care of our subs We treat them well. We enjoy having them work for us. They seem to enjoy working for us. So it's a great relationship. You treat them with respect, get to know them and their crews. You know, you attract more bees with honey, right? That's the saying. So, but yeah, every market has some norms, and commercial work's going to be different than residential too. Okay. Um, our primary bread and butter was always residential. We did very few commercial jobs. We did some, like might rebuild a coffee shop, or somebody at a restaurant hires us. Or I had a contract for a while with the local mall. We would do a lot of, we'd help the stores with a lot of their builds, especially smaller things. Like a lot of times they do like a little reset, or they would need like a handyman service or something. And that doesn't pay uh, fast at all. You're waiting maybe 90 days to get that check. So it's you do that work once you already have other work that's steady and paying. That just becomes ancillary that you can do. You don't mind waiting to get that $1,000 check. If it takes 60 days, it takes 60 days. But if that's your bread and butter, if that's the only job you have, then it's going to be tough if you're waiting 60 days to make $1,000. I like to pay when they're done. Yeah, absolutely. You definitely want to verify. Somebody has to do a walkthrough of the job, you know. And typically, that if you're using a sub, your walkthrough is going to be with the homeowner as well. So you're making sure that the homeowner doesn't have any questions, problems, issues. That way you're guaranteeing that you're going to get paid. So, but so let's say you break your subcontractor agreements, you pay them in 2 payments. You give them half at a certain point, you give them the other half, but you're getting paid in 4 payments. It makes it easier for you because you're getting money quicker and more frequently, to then be able to pay your subs. So the way our payroll system works, it's every 2 weeks. So I mean, I can write it. Technically, we could have a check written at any time, but we don't do that. It's you either get checks on the 15th or the 30th. That's the way it works. So, and if you're going to use like a payroll service or a bookkeeper, that's a good way to respect their time. Is just have them cut checks every 2 weeks. I mean, they might choose to write them at other days, but they don't have to technically put them in the mail or tell people to come pick them up. They can say, they can have them ready, and if they're ready early, great. But otherwise, it's better to over deliver, if that's the way to explain it. So if I tell you, we can only pay you every 2 weeks, but every now and then, you're awesome. You always are getting the jobs done ahead of schedule. And at some point, you come to me one week and say, Mike, look, I know you always said every 2 weeks, but I'm going out of town next week. I could really use that check before I leave. When I have a policy that says every 2 weeks, I also have discretion to occasionally call up my bookkeeper or say, hey, can you write Billy's tile a check? They finished early. I know we're not supposed to pay him for 2 weeks, but here's the circumstance. They're going out of town next week. So I verified the work. Everything's good. The homeowner loves it. So they're good. They're submitting their invoice today. As soon as you receive their invoice, would you go ahead and cut their check? And I'll let them know that they can swing by the office and pick it up. So it's a lot of this is managing relationships that you start to build with your subs over time. And you can be flexible at times, but it's not every week. Like this is like a special thing every now and then that you do. So, all right. Any other questions about subs? So yeah, if you want to work with subs and you want to have good success, this this guide made a huge difference for us. Again, it starts with you have to have you should carry these subcontractor application forms with you. You should always have one in paper, and then you store this as like a Google Doc. So at any point, if you meet somebody and you're like, damn, I'd like to see if I could have them work as a sub for us, all you have to do is get their email. And I always do the same thing with people. I say, hey, I am going to send you or hand you this agreement. At that point, the ball is in your court. I am not going to call you. I am not going to hound you. If you never return it, you never return it. You'll never work for us. If you return it and it's filled out properly, we'd love to work with you. But I don't become like the ball's in their court is what I'm saying. I hand it to them once and we see what happens. If they lose it, then that already lets me know everything I need to know about working with them. They're not the right kind of sub. Does that make sense? So this process really does a good thing in weeding out the wrong kind of people. Now, in the beginning, you might be desperate and you might need whoever you can find. I get that. But over time, you get rid of the companies that aren't so good. And there are good companies out there. It just takes a little while to find them. Because usually if they're good, they're pretty busy because they're working for the other reputable builders in the area. And you got to find a way to get them on your team as well. That's why I recommend you stop in, like look, whenever you see a new home being built, whenever you see a remodel being done, and again, the biggest clue is usually in our area, our part of the country. It's a white van and a white pickup trucks. I mean, that's all you need to know that that's a subcontractor or a box truck. You just pull on up, introduce yourself, or start hanging out at the supply houses. So in my area, like we have roofing supply companies, we have siding supply companies. Just start showing up there at 6, 7 in the morning, and you'll just see all the crews rolling in, getting their materials as they go out to a job site, and you can start introducing yourself to these guys. And some of them are going to own their own business and do their own sales and installation, but many of them are subcontractors. So anyway, you get the application, you get the agreement, and then you get the checklist. Where did I put the? You want that checklist that you have your subs fill out. And we've made checklists for just about every single sub out there, whether it's your foundation crew, your electrical contractor, right? These little this checklist that they can follow. And you give them a copy of your job site instructions, how you run the jobs. All right, guys, I appreciate you all being here. I hope that covers everything. So I think that's all we're going to do for tonight. Unless anybody else has a question. I appreciate you all being here. Jay Allen, thanks again, brother. Appreciate your participation. It helps. Hopefully we're able to get you answers. And hey, C. Knowles. Yeah, brother. Check out that tile company. All right, you guys all have a great night. And enjoy Boca Raton. I'm jealous. Bay Area contractor. Hey, brother. Bay Area. My mistake. I missed you. We'll get you next time.